So, do you want absolute, undeniable evidence that the British government are betraying us, selling us out and working to an agenda where we own nothing? Well, look at this. Tories, and it doesn't matter if it's Labour, they're all this works in the same agenda. Tories refused to save British Steel with 64 million, but today gave 200 million to Turkish military pension fund to take over British Steel. Absolute treason by the government. GC Math. The body's way of treating cancer. A human protein and a human right with no side effects. The king of immunotherapies. 300 GC math scientists from 8 nations, 150 scientific research papers, 11,500 patients treated, 350 doctors back it, successfully treats 90% of cancers, save 120,000 annually from the cancer in the NHS, reduced NHS bills by billions. In clinics, saves 90% with terminal stage 4 pancreatic cancer, treats over 50 other diseases successfully. Non-verbal autism, 60% now recover, 66% of CFS and Lyme disease recover. GC Math, GC protein, macrophage activating factor. David Noakes was producing this and curing people, and the British traitors locked him up, and they've deported one of his scientists, Lynn, back to France. This is absolute and utter treason by a bunch of treasonous bastards. There are essentially only 2 drugs that Western civilization tolerates. Caffeine from Monday to Friday to energise you enough to make you a productive member of society or a good little slave, and alcohol from Friday to Monday to keep you too stupid to figure out the prison that you are living in. Bill Hicks. We don't need more cameras pointed at citizens. We need more cameras pointed at politicians. This is utterly disgusting. Sweet and sexy kids. This is paedophilia in your face, and they're putting it on the high street now. We have developed a method to block the sun. Well, yes, everyone will die from this method, but they will be safe from the sun. Fear's immigration scam allowed criminals into Ireland after GARDA took bribes to stamp fake visa papers. A major corruption investigation is underway after a GARDA allegedly took bribes to give several hundred foreign nationals permission to stay in Ireland illegally. Up to 800 men and women from Pakistan and India paid €10,000 each to have the GARDA stamp a form stating they had shown the necessary documents granting them the right to work here and claim benefits, it is alleged. Officers believe the GARDA was in league with a Pakistan fixer in the high-level immigration fraud. Convicted child sex offender Tom Humphries released from Midlands Prison. Convicted child sex offender Tom Humphries has been released from prison after serving 22 months of his 2.5-year sentence for the sexual exploitation and defilement of a child. The former Irish Times sports journalist pleaded guilty in March 2017 to 6 offences dating from 2010 to 2011. Humphries began texting the victim in late 2008 when she was 14, initially contacting her about camogie. She had tried out for the Dublin Development Camogie panel, and he was a volunteer coach with underage teens. You see, whenever the pedos, they migrate to anything to do with children. This contact continued until 2011 and became increasingly sexual in nature. During his trial, the court heard about around 16,000 text messages were sent between them over a 3-month period alone. On one occasion, Humphries picked the then 16-year-old up from her school on a Sunday. What's she doing at school on a Sunday? And went to his apartment where he sexually abused her. The girl told GARDA she met him on 5 occasions during which oral sex and other sexual acts occurred, but not full intercourse. Details of the inappropriate contact between Humphries and the girl emerged by chance. In March 2011, he gave his daughter a phone that was due to be donated to a charity shop. When she put a SIM card into it, she saw messages that had been saved to the handset. She told her mother, from whom Humphries was already separated, and GARDA were informed. The victim in the case, who is now in her 20s, has said she had feelings of guilt and shame. You see, there's no one you can trust these days. Pedophilia lawsuit. Slave children forced to have sex with royalty, politicians, academics. Bill Clinton also visited the villa. A new lawsuit has revealed even more shocking details about the secret lives of the all-powerful elites. Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted paedophile and good friend of former US President Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew, and US President Donald Trump, kept children as sex slaves on his private island, Little St. James, in the early 2000s. If you are already shocked and disgusted, please bear with me a little longer, because you haven't heard the worst yet. According to flight logs between the years 2002 and 2005, the former President Bill Clinton made multiple trips to Epstein's private island. One unidentified woman testified in the lawsuit. But it's just a conspiracy. The elites don't kill children or have sex slaves or rape them or anything like that. You know, it's strange how all these conspiracies are turning out to be actually true. Mystery lung illness linked to vaping. Health officials investigating nearly 100 possible cases. Could be that popcorn lung. If you get in the vape tubes from shops, there's an ingredient in it that they use in the manufacture of popcorn. So it could be that, but this will be it could also be the tobacco firms just putting bullshit out, because we know that they're losing millions because so many have changed to vaping now. State and federal health officials are investigating almost 100 cases of a mysterious lung illness linked to vaping and e-cigarettes in 14 states, many of them involving teens and young adults. A large number of these stricken ill have been hospitalised, with some in intensive care and on ventilators. At least 31 cases have been confirmed as of Friday. State officials said the dozens more are under investigation. Medical authorities say it is unclear whether patients will fully recover. Officials are warning clinics and the public to be on alert for what they describe as a severe and potentially dangerous lung injury. Symptoms include difficulty breathing, shortness of breath or chest pain before hospitalisation. Health officials said patients have also reported fever, cough, vomiting and diarrhoea. The Centre for Disease Control and Prevention said Friday that officials are working with health department in at least 5 states with confirmed cases: California, Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota and Wisconsin, to determine the cause of the condition after a cluster of pulmonary illnesses linked to e-cigarettes use was reported among adolescents and young adults in recent weeks. In a call Friday with state health authorities, CDC officials said. Damning new evidence that Dr. Kelly didn't commit suicide. Well, I'm shocked. You could knock me over the... You mean he didn't commit suicide, even though he was exposing Blair for being a crooked, lying bastard? Of course he was suicided. The disturbing flaws in the official government story, well, they made the story up. They killed him. They made the story up. Bye-bye. Surrounding the death of Blair's chemical weapons expert, official explanation was that the weapons expert had taken his own life. Yeah, never believed that. But since Dr. Kelly's death in 2003, time has done nothing to dispel suspicion. Successful governments have refused to allow full coroner's inquest to be held. Well, why is that then, if they've got nothing to hide? Except they've got something to hide, haven't they? The fact that we know what they've been up to. The official explanation was that the distinguished weapons expert had taken his own life by overdosing on painkillers and cutting his left wrist. Devastating after being unmasked, as the source of the BBC claimed that the government had sexed up the case for the Iraq War. But since Dr. Kelly's death in 2003, time has done nothing to dispel the cloud of suspicion that hangs over the episode. The troubling questions surrounding it have only increased as they have passed. Successive governments have refused to allow a full colours inquest to be held, fueling the sense of a cover-up. Of course it's a cover-up. They all work for the same agenda. Esther Baker, police investigate woman who said MPs abused her. A woman who made claims of organised child sexual abuse involving politicians is under investigation after allegedly lying about her account. Staffordshire Police confirmed it was probing whether Esther Baker misled detectives or who originally investigated her story. Former MP John Hemming, one of those she accused, described himself as a victim of the allegations. Miss Baker said, "If there was something to find, police would have found it." It's an odd one. Corrupt kids for cash. Judge ruined at more than 2,000 lives. Anyone that's in a position that they can tell you what you do, send you somewhere, we need rid of them. Sandy Fonzo of Wilkes-Barre screams at former Judge Mark Chiavella, saying that he was responsible for her son's suicide on the step of the federal courthouse in Sacramento in 2011. Hillary Transu, 14, created a fake, humorous MySpace page about her school's vice principal. Just Bodner, 12, cursed at another student's mother. Ed Kenzowski, 17, did nothing at all. It didn't matter. As we see the documentary Kids for Cash, which opens Friday, make sure you can get a copy of that if you can. You know, you'll be out in the torrents, I would imagine. And 3 Luzerne County PA teens met the same fate for their minor infractions. They were hauled into court with their parents, sometimes after being coerced, according to at least one parent, by police to waive their right to legal counsel. They were brought before Judge Mark A. Chiavella. Defence found themselves pronounced guilty, shackled and sentenced to months of detention in a cockroach-infested jail. They were trapped in the juvenile justice system for years, robbing most of them of their entire high school experience. Judge Chiavella, who sentenced around 3,000 children in a similar manner, was later sentenced himself to 28 years in prison. Well, jail, because prison is on a boat and jail is on the land, of course. Epstein's plane still active and 723 flew to Antarctica. Edit. People saying it is a glitch because of the timestamp or because they invented the airplane. Look, it is. I didn't make up the link, the website, the data. If there is a glitch, maybe it's the timestamp. Who knows? You don't. Jesus Christ, it's getting so effing ridiculous, but we're the paranoid ones. That probably needs some more looking into that. Court rules school can use electroshock as punishment for special needs students. Would you send your kid to a school like that? A judge ruled that the only school in America that uses electric shock to punish disabled students can continue to violate the violent practice. Bristol County MA Family Court Judge Catherine Field denied a motion to stop the use of electric shock on disabled students, a form of punishment that has been controversial for years after news of the practice first reached the public in 2013 when video surfaced of an 18-year-old student receiving dozens of shocks for refusing to take off his jacket. This bitch, Catherine Field, she almost guaranteed Satanist, and if she's a Satanist, she's a paedophile. Dozens of UK politicians investigated in massive paedophile ring. Wow, it's really shocking news today, isn't it? Dozens of UK politicians from every major political party have been named in the investigation of a Westminster paedophile ring. Some of those named, like Cyril Smith and Sir Peter Morrison, are no longer alive, but many people on the list are, and many are still in political positions. Whistleblower Pete McKelvey sparked the investigation after handing over evidence to police that he had been collecting for years. Peter McKelvey is actually a retired child protection agent who saw countless abuse at the hands of public officials during his time on the job. McKelvey was diligent in keeping records on these abuses and of all the victims. McKelvey told reporters that there are sufficient grounds to carry out a formal investigation into allegations that up to 20 MPs and laws over the last 3 or 4 decades, some still alive and some dead. The list is there. WikiLeaks cable reveals DynCorp funding child sex slavery in Afghanistan. DynCorp is a private security contractor hired to train police in Afghanistan. The Afghanistan cabal dated June 24th confirms the rumour that DynCorp threw a barber boy play party for new Afghan police recruits. A backer boy is between 8 and 15 years old. The boy dresses scantily in women's clothing and dances seductively to a room full of older men. When the show is over, the boy is auctioned off to the highest bidder for sex. Sometimes the boy is brought out outright. The State Department has called bachabazi a widespread, culturally accepted from a male rape. No, it's not at all. Police are keen to speak to this man, as he may have vital information which could help with a rape investigation. A 19-year-old woman reported she was raped on Saturday, March 16th, after a man approached her outside the Sandman Hotel in Newcastle and walked her to an address in Arthur's Hill. She reported the man followed her into the address and raped her before leaving in a taxi. After following lines of inquiries, it has been established the suspect was dropped off on Ladykirk Road, Fenham, by the taxi. Police are keen to speak to the man in the photo, as he may have vital information. Look, we don't need vital information. They think he's the bloke. That's it, basically. Healing with iodine. Supplementation is essential for heart disease, diabetes and cancer. We know of 100 years ago that we needed more iodine, and government started putting it a tiny bit in table salt. It was not enough, and after the nuclear accident of Fukushima, we need more because of the radioactive iodine released into the environment. Humans in the 21st century have an absolute need for iodine supplementation. Iodine is the only medicinal that stands between antibiotics resistant hell and us. Well, colloidal silver as well. There are many reasons we need iodine in abundance. There are 3 principal reasons, however, that stand out, thrusting iodine into the place as medicine of supreme importance. The first is its antibiotic, antifungal and antiviral. After that, go beyond antibiotics because it kills viruses, which antibiotics do not. Iodine kills fungus and yeast like Candida, which antibiotics do not. Links in description if you want to read the rest of that. Express. Boris takes fight to EU. PM will tour capitals and warn leaders to back down or risk historic mistake. More bullshit. PC's death flowers speak for the nation. The fail. Andrew inside Epstein's house of depravity. Boris savages the saboteurs. PM accuses Hammond and co of gravely damaging Britain's national interests. He means the Rothschilds' national interest, because that's who he works for. Telegraph. Downing Street slams dishonest rebels. Government makes landmark move on Brexit with signing of commitment order to end rule of EU law on October 31st. Now, the only reason they're doing this is because of the anti-fraud laws that the EU is trying to bring in, and the City of London, well, the biggest fraudulent, it is fraud, the whole City of London. That's why they want out. Nothing to do with us or stopping people going, because the immigrants are still going to be welcome. It's just they don't want them being investigated for their fraudulent activities. Patel tougher sentence for police attacks. Pig heart transplants hope. The Observer. Corbyn pleads with MPs, back me now before it's too late. 100 MPs tell Johnson to recall Parliament. Britain stands on precipice, says Corbyn. Yeah, Corbyn on £12,000 a month. Do you think he gives a shit about you? Police halt trials of face recognition systems. Mirror. Scandal of the 63 kids killed by parents and how the law lets it happen. Right, so that's 63 kids have been killed by parents where the social services have failed. What about the hundreds, if not thousands, of kids that have died because social services have taken them away from loving parents and given them to paedophiles? But no, well, let's not mention that, eh? Waste of paper. Star's lover cashes in. Sicko flogs ticket to Corrie Starr's funeral. Wow. Stacey is back. Absolute waste of paper. Why anyone buys that is beyond me. The Sunday Times. Operation Chaos. Whitehall's secret no deal plan leaked. Chaos. Remember the New World Order plan? Cause massive chaos and then bring in the New World Order out of that chaos. That's what they're trying to do. The Sunday Times obtains the government's classified Yellow Hammer report in full. Types of fresh food supply will decrease. Traffic caused by border delays. Oh, I think they're all just talking bollocks. Am I going to read all that crap? Flights for sale on Death Trap 737s. Oh, let's get some then, eh? FBI files on bisexual Mountbatten. Oh, it's all coming out about the royals. Life's getting really sticky for them, innit? Shame. That time they were ended. Harry and Meghan wanted to share Windsor Castle with Queen. Parasites. And some of the most favourite parts for many of you, the almost finally. That proud moment in a father-son relationship when you find out he's just as much of an asshole as you are. Most females don't answer video calls after 9 PM because their face has been restored to factory settings. Scientific fact. Dogs get more information from sniffing another dog's arse than humans do from watching the BBC News. So true. A thief entered a house mid-afternoon. He tied up the woman and at knife point asked the man to hand over the jewellery and money. Man started sobbing and said, "Brother, you take anything you want, but please untie the rope and free her." Thief, "You really love your wife, man." "No, she's my neighbour's wife. Mine will arrive shortly." When your home improvement project doesn't turn out as planned.